Hi guys, welcome back to another tutorial today. If you're new here, do well to subscribe. If you're an old subscriber, thank you for always coming back to watch tutorials on this channel. So we're going to be making this beautiful dress today. It's actually a gown. If that's what you want to see, then watch this video to the very end. So you'll be needing your basic bodies. The neckline is 3 inches of depth and shoulder 2.5 inches. So I'm going ahead to close up my side bust that. I actually start cutting from the side, the bust apart measurement, because this is a free top and we're not going to be closing the waist that. So I didn't cut out the waist that. I had to cut from the bust apart measurement. So I added a fresh pattern paper at my center front. And you'll be seeing the reason why I added a fresh pattern paper at my center front, okay? So from my center front, I'm going ahead to measure half an inch all the way down. Half an inch all the way down. And I'll be using my ruler to join all those dotted lines together like so. The reason why I added this half an inch is because of that kind of fold over at the neckline. That fold over at the neckline. So I noticed that half an inch was too small. I wouldn't be able to fold it over, or it's going to be too small that it wouldn't be noticeable. So I decided to add more to it. That is why I'm adding new fresh paper to it. So starting from my center front, I decided to use 1.5 inch, but I found out that it was much, so I had to use 1 inch. But you can use 1.5 inch if you want a very bogus, you want the upper bodies to be very bogus. You can use 1.5 inches. It's still going to come out well. So I used 1 inch, and that is what I'm using for that fold over neckline. As you can see, I'm trying this out. So having done that now, I'm going ahead to manipulate my armhole. I'm going to be adding 2 inches to my armhole to exaggerate the armhole because of the design of the dress we are making. I'm going to be adding 2 inches to my armhole to exaggerate the armhole like so. So I've marked the 2 inches, and this will be my current armhole for this particular dress. So having done that now, we'll go ahead to manipulate our darts to get that kind of design in the front, those kind of pleats and folds or whatever you want to call it at the front area. So I'm trying to draw a style line to do this, and having done that, I'm going to be closing this up like so. Remember, we did not close up the dart. As you can see, the dart is there. So I'm going to be using my scissors to cut up to this level, and I'll be opening that up like so. So going in with my ruler, I'm going ahead now to draw more style lines. You can leave yours at 2, 3. I just said to use, was it 4? You can decide to use 3 or whatever, depending on how bogus you want the dress to be. So I decided to use this amount of style lines, and that is it. So I went ahead to use a fresh pattern paper to spread out my my pattern, and then I'm closing it up like so. If you've been watching my videos, you should get used to me doing this by now, because I do this in most of my tutorials that will be needing to manipulate darts and all that. So I'm going ahead to close up the pattern to bring it back to its original state. Okay, remember, this is a free bodice. We've manipulated our armhole. We did not close up the side darts, the waist darts rather, only the side bust dart, sorry. That was what we just closed up. So I'm going to have to cut off the excess paper like so. So I haven't done this now. This is what we're having. And remember the dart also, I'm trying to tell you that we didn't close up the dart. So I'll go ahead to open up this pattern just so we see what it looks like. So having done this now, that very down part, okay, like it's kind of curved from the center front. It's kind of curved to the waistline. So I'll be marking 1 inch from my center front to curve this like so. This is optional. If you don't want to do this, it's optional. This is optional. So, but I just want to give it I just did it to give it that curved look at the waistline. Okay. So if you don't want to do this, it's optional. You can decide not to do it or not. So having done that now, I'll be setting this aside and working on the lower bodice of the front. So that 1 inch I removed, I added it to the up to the skirt of the front, to the lower bodice of the front, as you can see. And that will be it for the skirt bodice. So moving over to the back, I'm also going to be exaggerating my armhole by 2 inches, and that is what I'm doing right now. And this will be my current armhole for the back bodice. And for the back bodice, since I don't have a view of what the back bodice of this dress looks like, I ruined my dart, so I had to tape it back. And I'm looking at what to actually do. I didn't want the back, I didn't want so much going on at the back. I just wanted a simple back. So I didn't want to exaggerate much. I didn't want to slash. I didn't want to spread much. So I'm just thinking of what to do to the back since I didn't see the back of the original dress that I'm creating this from. So I decided to do this. I kind of slashed one side of the back like so. And I'm also trying to see the other side where I can slash to give it a nice fit and also not to make it so bogus. That is what I'm trying to do now. So I'll be drawing a star guideline like this and I'll be cutting like so up to this point. And going in with a fresh pattern paper, I'll go ahead to kind of spread this out, not so much, but just kind of a little, so it has fullness, okay? It's going to be bogus, but not too bogus as that of the front. I don't want the back to be so bogus as that of the front. So I'm going to have to tape this down like so. So you know that part that is like it folds over. When you wear a shirt that is bogus and you tuck it into a skirt, you want it to kind of come out, fold over. So I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch at the hem of the top of the upper bodies. I'm adding 1.5 inch at the hem of the upper bodies at every strategic point like so. So I'm cutting it off. Just so I have that fold over. When I wear it, kind of it hangs over. I don't know if you understand. It kind of hangs over. So it's not just straight, you know. That's why I'm doing this. So I'll be exaggerating also my armhole, my shoulder by adding 1.5 inch from the tip of my shoulder, mid armhole, and also by the side of my armhole like so. So I added 1.5 inch all the way down and I connected that 1.5 inch to meet the hemline of my upper bodies like so. My waistline rather. My new waistline assumed here. So I'm going to be cutting this off like so. So this now is my back bodies. This now is currently my back bodies. So moving over to the front bodies, we'll go ahead to add same thing to the shoulder, the armhole, 1.5 inch to exaggerate it, and also the 1.5 inch for the waistline for that hangover, kind of fall over, you know, something like that. So I'm adding 1.5 inch to every strategic point, every curve, like so. I'm adding 1.5 inch to have the same shape as the original pattern. The 1.5 inch is I'm adding it to have the same shape as the original pattern, just so when I'm sewing and closing up, it's going to come out nice. So for the skirt back, nothing is going to be happening there. It's just the way it is. I'm not adding any 1.5 inch. And for my sleeve, I'll be going from my wrist 6 points, 6 inches above my wrist, like so, and I'll be cutting that out. Then I'll go ahead to label up, down, and for the sleeve, you're going to be having the same sleeve as that of the armhole that you've exaggerated, just so it fits into the armhole, okay? No longer your normal sleeve, the sleeve that is same with the amount of armhole you exaggerated. So I'm going ahead now to draw in my style guideline, and I'll be slashing and spreading the sleeve like so. So I'm going to head to slash and spread the sleeve, and I've cut my fabric and we'll head straight to the sewing. So I've already marked my notch. As you can see, I marked with my pen little marks just so I know where to fold in and where not to fold in. And I'll go ahead to sew this up like so. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Leave a comment for your girl in the comment section. Whatever it is that you do not understand, that is not clear to you, leave a comment in the comment section and I will explain to you ASAP as soon as possible, okay? Thank you for always coming back to watch my video. So I'm going ahead to fold. Make sure you mark your notches. Whatever it is that you'll be using to remember, make sure you mark it. So I'm going ahead to fold in like so. I'm trying to make sure that everything is in line, kind of. I did not iron my fabric. I ironed it a little, but not much. I'm having, the electricity wasn't steady. It was just going and coming back, so I didn't iron much. So for the neckline, I'm going ahead to fold in over like what I told you when we're cutting the pattern for the front. That fold over, yes, that is what I'm doing now. I'm folding it over like so. And having done that, our front bodice is fixed. We'll go ahead to sew the back bodice, okay? We'll go ahead to fold in and sew the back bodice. So I'm going ahead now to sew my back bodice like so. You want to make sure you mark everything markable, everything necessary so that you don't understand because so much is going to be going on and you probably might get confused if you do not mark your notches, if you do not mark things that you're going to be using to remember. So I'm going ahead to sew up my sides together of the upper bodies like so. As you know on this channel, we sew the upper bodies separate, lower bodies separate, and we join together as a gown. So I'm going ahead to sew my upper bodies now like so. I'm joining the sides of my upper bodies using the same seam allowance that I left. And also for the shoulders, I'm going ahead to join the shoulders up like so. So having done that now, heading over to the skirt pattern, I'm going ahead to sew in my darts. As you can see, I marked up my darts at the wrong side of my fabric and I'm going ahead to sew in my darts. I'm gonna head to sew the darts. I've also turned my skirt pattern, my lower bodice with a lining. Sorry, the lining is different color from the fabric itself, but I actually used it because it's kind of thick and this fabric is light. And since I'm on the slim side, I'm slim, so I needed something that is kind of thick to help, give the dress a stamina when I wear it. So I'm sewing down the sides of my skirt using my allowance that I left. As you can see, that's what I'm doing. So you can see the allowance, I already marked it. So I'm using the allowance to sew down on the sides of my skirt like so. So having done that, for the collar now, I went ahead to mark a long strip, which is same measurement with that of the whole of the neck, front and back. And I marked also where my center is. And then I added 1.5 inch for where I'm going to be fixing the button of the collar. As we sew, I'm going to be showing you that right away. So when you sew your collar all the way round to where your zipper allowance is, you fold the zipper allowance in because there is no zip that is going to be running into the collar like so. So same for this other side. When you sew and you get to where your zipper allowance is, you fold the zipper allowance in because there is no zip that is going to be running into the collar. I'm going to be attaching a button to the collar actually and not a zip because I want an opening at the back as you saw at the beginning of this video. So having done that, I'll go ahead now to fold the collar at the edge of the collar first like so before finishing the collar. I'm going to sew the edges of the collar first like so before finishing the collar. This is actually a 2-in-1 tutorial. As you can see, I'm also giving you details of how to sew a turtleneck. So this is a 2-in-1 tutorial. So what are you waiting for? Just like this video. Your girl is giving you a 2-in-1 tutorial. Like this video, okay? Please. So I'm going ahead now to use my kind of something sharp to bring out the edges. Something sharp, but not something that will tear the dress for you, please. So I'm sewing all the way down. Just so I give it a neat finish, okay? Sewing all the way down like so. You want to be careful while doing this so that you don't have something that is, how do I put it, something that is irregular, something that is not neat. So I sewed all the way down like so. For the collar, if you want, you can cut it on bias or straight. So this is what the collar looks like. As you can see, very nice, neat and beautiful. And yes, so I haven't done that now. We'll go ahead to fix the sleeve. I've marked the notch of my center sleeve, the back and the front. So I'll be adding the sleeve, making sure that it aligns with the center of my shoulder for my bodice, and then I'll be sewing all the way down. So I'll be sewing all the way down like so. And when I get to where my armhole joins the front and back, I'll be stopping and I'll sew that of the back also. So I haven't done this now. I'll go ahead to cover up the sides of the sleeve. So I'm going ahead now to cover up the sides of the sleeve like so. So I haven't done that. I've gone ahead to gather my sleeve, the outer part of it. And this is that very part you want to fix the 6 inches that we marked from our wrist. So this is that very part you're going to be fixing at the place where you gathered for the sleeve. Like a kind of your band. Okay, like kind of a band. So that is it. And I'm going ahead to check for where my center sleeve notch is, and I'll be joining it with the center notch of that sleeve band. So I haven't done that. I haven't gone ahead to sew them together. I'll be sewing my upper bodice and my lower bodice together. So now we are joining it as a gown. The lower bodice and the upper bodice, we are joining it as a gown. Starting from the center front of my upper bodice and the center front of my lower bodice, making sure that the notches align. I'm going to be sewing as a gown. Also making sure that the waist sewing aligns. The waist of your upper bodice and the waistline of your lower bodice aligns. Like the side seam, the shaping. Also the zipper allowance, making sure that those things align. As you can see. So I'm going to be sewing the other side also, making sure that everything aligns properly, okay? Just for the feet, when you do this, it's going to give you a nice fit. So having done that, I'll go ahead to close up my skirt, the center of my skirt, leaving about 7 inches for my slit. Leaving about 7 inches for my slit. I'm going to be sewing all the way to where I want my zipper to start. So I'm going to be sewing all the way like so. Stopping where I want my zipper to start. If you've seen this tutorial so far, I really appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and I hope you've got value and you've learned a lot from this video. Thank you so much. So for the zipper, I'm using an invisible zipper. I actually use invisible zippers whenever I make an English wear. I prefer to use an invisible zipper just so it looks more authentic. You know, someone doesn't see it and say, "Ah, it was sewn, it was sewn." Just so when someone sees it, you can't really say it was sewn, or you know, just so it looks professional. In fact, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.